most women's politics is just don't be mean. Don't be in the Ku Klux Klan. And you're like, yeah, okay, we got that handled. I don't want Trayvon Martin to get killed if he's just going to buy Skittles. That's not what happened, but okay, yeah. We'll try to. I don't even know why they vote.
Wow, exciting guest, exciting interview. This guy is fantastic. Guys, you're going to enjoy this interview because he talked about women voting, talked about the cancel culture, he talked about so many things, the battle between the liberal and the conservative. Very interesting, very straight to the point, man, and very triggering. If you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to get more videos like this. So without further ado, let's dive in.
I have with me a man that I have much respect for. I've been on his show before, and it was amazing. Gavin Mcinnes, and he is an author, co-founder of Vice, and founder of Censor TV, Censor.tv, and the host of Get Off My Lawn, and founder of The Proud Boy. He's a busy man. Gavin, welcome to the show. Welcome to the Father State.
Thanks for having me.
So what is it about you that there's such a major attack? Somebody want to stop you. What is it? What do you think it is about you that they want you out of the way?
Well, I'm charming and funny and influential, and I'm not really stuck in my views. I'm happy to discuss something and change my mind about stuff. So I'm not this sort of piece of granite that they can dismiss. I want to discuss things. And the problem with wanting an open discussion is that might pull people away from the left and towards Trump. So they saw me start Vice. They saw me invent hipsters. They saw me gentrify Williamsburg. They saw me create the Proud Boys. They saw that become a global phenomenon. They go, this guy has influence, so he's a threat. So let's call him a Nazi or a white nationalist or whatever, a pedophile, whatever is the taboo of the day. Let's call him that and get him sequestered.
So it's the left against the right.
Yep. And it's the left against the charming right. They don't care about Richard Spencer and David Duke. They don't care about people who don't have appeal. But like, if I could do to the Trump world what I did to hipsters and Vice, then Trump's going to win and they're going to lose. And that's, I'm saying, something they cannot accept. You know, you have to realize that Trump isn't perfect, but he's the best president we've had since Reagan.
Yep.
And there's something about the right where they're not good at unity. The left is too good at unity, and the right isn't good enough. We're so easy to dismiss paleocons, hate neocons, hate libertarians, hate tradcons, and it's like, can't we all kumbaya and come together, at least until Trump's done?
Can't we all just get along? What can the president do to stop censorship? What can he do?
He can start saying, denying them these special allotments they get, this special treatment they get, these tax breaks they get. He can say, look, if you're going to be a totally free market enterprise that censors random people, then you can't be treated like you're some sort of utility. You can't get these tax breaks. You can't get this special treatment. You have to, it's one or the other.
At the time, I was a liberal Democrat, and I worked for a union organizer, and those things was happening, but I was too young to understand the danger of it. And I thought at the time that they were the friends of America, but now I realize they're the enemy of what is good. What can the people on the right do to become as one, to fight in the same way the people on the left? What needs to happen so that the people on the right can fight and stand together, even though we're not going to agree on everything? But when it comes to certain issues, we should be able to fight together and not against each other. What needs to happen for that to come about? You
can't get into the quagmire. You can't tell Mike Cernovich to start appreciating Ben Shapiro. You can't tell, Milo that Crowder is good for him or something. You can't convince those people. So my attitude is I just don't get involved in the bickering and the infighting. I don't punch right. And then I just plow forward. At the end of every show, I say, get fired, get in trouble, be brave, and never stop fighting. So I think the solution to all that stagnant noise of infighting is just to create your own music and push really hard for less government, for free speech, for the Second Amendment, for an open dialogue in this country. We really are at an unprecedented level of incuriosity and non-conversation. And this country was built on the opposite of that.
It's so unfortunate, too, because we're losing out on a lot of good stuff by not having open dialogues about anything. We don't have to agree on everything, but we should be able to talk about anything, speak about anything.
We don't know what's going on. There's a great scene in Mike Cernovich's new movie, Hoaxed, which I highly recommend. And the Black Lives Matter guy in New York is talking about Dylan Roof and shooting up the church. And Mike shows him the black guy who shot up a white church in the South. And he's never heard of that before. And he's staring at the article with his mouth agog, just like, whoa, I never heard of this. We're not hearing about things because big tech has successfully put us all in bubbles, and we can't hear what the other side is saying anymore. We come from a back and forth history here. To go like this is not who we are.
When I tell my black family members, I'm black, when I tell my family members about the attack on white people from black people, how whites are under attack, how they're being robbed and raped and murdered and killed, and nobody cares, right? They don't believe me. They think I'm making it up because they have not heard it in the liberal media. They have not seen it. And so they think I'm making it up. And that is because it's a one-sided thing now. It's not openly. There's no open discussion and viewing of what's happening.
Jesse, if what they were doing to white farmers in South Africa was being done to dogs, they would send in the American military. So when you're talking about white South African farmers, just say they're puppies. They're not boiling white kids alive. They're boiling puppies alive. That will get their interest. And then when you're done the whole thing, go, okay, just change dogs to white people.
I know what you mean, man.
You know, you talk about the death of meritocracy. I was talking to a South African the other day who told me that the requirement for GEDs has been going down and down. It used to be you needed a 51%, you have to pass. And now you need a 0 to get a GED. You could be completely illiterate and you have a GED. You have a high school diploma. What? That means it doesn't exist.
That's amazing. I remember hearing that about the test in Ohio. I believe it was Dayton, Ohio. They had it where if the blacks wanted to be an officer, a police, or a cop, they would have to make like a B or something. And the blacks couldn't pass. They couldn't make the B. They said, all right, blacks, if you can make a C, we'll let you in as a cop. They couldn't make a C on the test. They just said, all right, blacks, we love you. It's the blacks. It's slavery. If you can make a D, on the test for police to become a cop, they can do that. Now, if you just show up, you can be a cop if you're black.
See, now that's racist to me because you're saying that they're not good enough. You have to handle them with kid gloves. You know, the FDNY does the same thing here in New York. There's a smoke room you have to go through with your training, which is brutal. And you're just walking through about 20 feet of just black smoke. And black people said they hated it and it was really hard on their lungs. So they don't have to do that part of the test. And you go, but wait a minute, they're going to be in a burning building at some point. It's not a made-up test. It's not like you have to eat a frog or something.
Right.
It's relevant. And you also have Asian kids being penalized here in New York for secondary education because their marks are too high. So they bring down the Asian, they bring up the black because they want to have a diverse college. I don't give a crap if Harvard and Princeton are 100% Asian. If they all earned it, who cares? You know, the best bodybuilders are all big and muscular. That's just the way it is. We don't need skinny weaklings being going to the Olympics.
That's right. I've been talking to my producer about that skinny weakling guy. Anyway, I wanted to ask a couple of things, then I want to move on to some other stuff here. What is wrong with the blacks that they allow the white, liberal whites and others to treat them as a second-class citizen, as though they're not capable? Like with me, I like working for myself. I like earning it. I feel I've always been that because I was raised in that way. It's just something about taking on challenges and dealing with them and overcoming them. And that changed during the civil rights movement what is it about the blacks today that they don't seem to mind being used in that way? There's no shame in it. At one time, they would never put up with that.
Well, lots of people do it. Women do it too,
Yeah.
and it's a way to double your accomplishments. So when you say to a kid, you're black and we live in a racist country, so you're gonna have to work twice as hard to achieve the same thing as a white person. I hate that kind of talk because it's very discouraging to that little kid. He's gonna say, well, why bother? I'm not gonna do twice the years of law school to become a lawyer.
Yep.
But another thing it does is it says to anyone who's accomplished something that they must have worked twice as hard. So if you have a corner store and it's functioning and it pays for itself, it's profitable, and you sell fruit and chips and stuff, and you built it yourself, and someone goes, you know what? The fact that you're black means that this is twice the accomplishment because you had to fight against all that racism. So you're twice as good as the white guy who owns a corner store. And who isn't going to take that freebie and go, yeah, I did have to work twice as hard. And women do it too. They go, I was a top engineer at GE. And you go, oh, that's pretty good. And as a woman, it was especially hard for me because everyone didn't want, and no one trusted a female engineer. So I'm actually more accomplished than any other engineers at GE. And you go, okay, you just doubled your accomplishment. Congrats.
That's amazing. As you know, I grew up in Alabama under the Jim Crow laws and all that. I grew up on a plantation. I was born there. And I have to tell you, and I left there at 18. Between birth and 18 years old, I never heard that America is a racist society, so you got to work harder. You got a white man trying to hold you back. I never heard any of that at all. And because my grandparents, I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandfather was a hard worker. He taught me how to help him on the plantation there from day one. And I saw by example to just do my best and be grateful that I could work. And we treated people the way we would like to be treated. Blacks treated whites this way, and whites treated blacks that way. And we knew it was good and evil, no such thing as racism. I never imagined that I couldn't make it in America because white people. Until I moved to California at 18, I started hearing the so-called leadership say that. Oh, you can't make it. It's hard on the black man. You got to work twice as hard as the white man. And I'm like, why would they tell anyone that unless they were trying to control them or something? It didn't make sense, and it still doesn't make sense to me.
I think if you hated black people, if you were the head of the Klan and you wanted to really cripple a child, you should say to him, it's horrible out there. If you go for a drive, a cop might just randomly shoot you. The Klan is on every corner. Yeah. There's hate groups. Everyone's Trump. You know, the president of the United States, he's a white supremacist. He thinks you're garbage. So now you have this black cloud of doom over your head. I was talking to a guy the other day. We actually had him on the show. And he said when he was, the way he was raised, and he brought up an interesting point I'd never thought of before. He said, our fathers tend not to be around, so we're just with our mother. But our mother had us when she was like 16, so she's not much of a mother. So we tend to be raised by our grandparents. Our grandparents grew up, pre-Jim Crow, like pre-MLK assassination, like in another America.
Right.
So they have this antiquated view of America. And he said, I would have nightmares about the KKK. I would be scared of them coming to our house. They traumatized me. Then he joined the army. And he was in Afghanistan, and everyone was just like trying to stay alive. And he realized, oh, we're all in the same boat here. And he only stopped being scared of white people when he was about 20 years old. But I got laughed at for saying this on an interview the other day. They were saying, so you think racism is over? And I go, yeah. And they said, when? When did it end? And I'd never really thought of a date before, but it's like you say, what Jim Crow was 65. MLK was assassinated in 68. I think around then, America went, okay, whoa. What the hell's going on? You killed Martin Luther King? All right, I'm done with this. Let's stop. It's no longer just drinking fountains. This is getting serious. End Jim Crow, and let's start being civil to these black people. And of course, there was uprisings, and there was good days and bad days. But for the most part, 70 is when America went on track for equality. And it's been improving every year. People ignore that. It's been improving every year, and 2020 is the least racist it's been since 1970.
Amazing. Do you know that when I look back on it, growing up in Alabama, I used to walk the roads at night, and we didn't have street lights and all that. I used to ride the horse to see my girlfriend. She lived in Russell. You ever rode a horse to go and see your girlfriend?
No, I hate riding horses. It hurts.
You have not lived until you get on a horse to ride across to another county to see your girlfriend. She lived in Russell County. I lived in Barber County, and I had to ride and come home late at night. You couldn't even see where you were going, but the horse knew the way home, so he would take you home automatically. But
that's so romantic, Jesse. Your girlfriend hears like the blum, 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 blum. A hero is coming.
Here come my hero. But I want to say, not one time do I ever remember seeing a Klansman. The only time I would hear about them was on TV or something. And I've heard about them more in the city here since I've been living here than I did when I was growing up in Alabama. I didn't see anything I didn't hear them or see them. It's like they were everywhere. And I never saw them. And I don't know anyone who ran into them. So I don't know how the Klansmen and all that became so popular in the city, but not in Alabama.
Yeah, it's I read about a girl recently who said there's a Klan meeting in my university. I can see them talking. And of course, the university goes, what the hell? We don't want that. I didn't sanction this. So they go and investigate, and they find the room, and it's a lab, a chemistry lab, where a microscope had a white dust cover on it that looked pointed and white. And this woman thought that was a Klan hood, and there was some sort of meeting going on. I mean, we're so paranoid.
How does it feel being a white man and so hated only because you're white? Not because you did anything wrong, but simply because you're white and you're male. What does that feel to walk around in America knowing that you're hated because you're white?
It pisses me off, and I don't tolerate it for 1 second. I don't tolerate any of this when they say white boy or anything. You nip it in the bud. It's sort of like prison. If you have a lot of stuff from the what's it called? Where you buy your chips? Commissary. You got a lot of commissary in your bunk, and someone walks by and is looking at it. Immediately, you have to go, you all right? You okay? You like my ramen? You staring at my ramen? You can go get your own ramen. You got to really get right at it. I saw there's this, and it's especially bad from white people.
Yeah.
Like there's this comedian, Chris D'Elia, who has a special on Netflix, and he says there was this guy at the gym, this white pasty guy, you know those kind of guys, and everyone's laughing and clapping, all white people. He was so pasty that if you slapped him, it would leave a pink mark, F that guy. And everyone's clapping. And then he says, I went up to him and I said, why are there vampires at the gym? And then everyone laughs and claps at the stupid white man. If he had said that about a black person, there was this black guy at the gym. Yeah. He was so black, he looked like an eggplant. You slap him and it'd leave a purple mark. I mean, there'd be a riot.
You are so true. You're so right about that. I have proven, and you can prove me wrong, and we'll still be friends. I have proven that there is no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism, deadbeat dadism, white supremacism, anti-Semitism. There is no ism. And there's no such thing. Racism has never existed. I never heard that word until I moved to the city here in Los Angeles. But there's no such thing as racism. That it's a made-up word in order to control the people.
Well, I come from Quebec, where it's about English versus French.
Right.
And it's literally illegal to have an English sign if it doesn't say French bigger. So if you have Joe's shoes, then Chaussure de Joe has to be twice the size. And there's language police who will photograph your sign and penalize you. And if you're black and you speak English, then you're on the English side. If you're black and you speak French, you're on the French side. So I came down to New York City in 1999, and there's all this racial stuff. They're like, what? We're all English. Who cares? How is this a thing? It's almost like people need a thing to war about. But it's so, if there is racism, it is the thinnest, tiniest layer, like oil on the top of water. And all it takes is this, and it's gone. If you meet some old racist Archie Bunker guy, and he goes to a bar, and this guy, he said racist stuff, racist jokes. He loves the Mets. He loves BLTs. And he hates toothpicks. And he sits down and he can't see the black guy. And the black guy's like, This was going to be our year with the Mets. And now, because of this damn pandemic, we're not going to shine, where they screwed us. Oh, good. My BLTs here. I love these. I love when it's nice and toasted, too, with the mayonnaise. Don't you? You think that white guy's going to turn around and go, well, I kind of wanted to talk to this guy because we have so much in common, but he's a Negro. So there's no... People are too selfish. They want to talk to people. Same with the business. If a business finds this accountant, it's going to save them $50,000 a year. You think they're going to go, well, you could make our company a lot of money, but you're a Negro. Right. No way. I'm going to deny myself that interesting conversation or that lucrative accountant because of some hang up.
Yeah.
Bull crap. Look, I have plenty of hate in my heart. I hate guys who order blackberry margaritas. It takes the bartender like 10 minutes. We're all waiting for our beer, and you got him shaking away there. I hate guys who wear flip-flops, no matter what race they are. I don't want to see your hairy toes on the train. Get them out of my face.
Oh, God.
I hate people who ride scooters with a little helmet on. Ooh, you're going to bump your noggin if you fall off your little children's toy? I got plenty of prejudice, but basing it on someone's race is just petty.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really happen.
I know. We got to change that. What I read that you were married to you were a liberal at one time, which is hard to believe, but maybe that's why you're such a good conservative, because I used to be a liberal as well, and God forgave me and I overcame it, and I'm a really fighter on the right. You were married to an Indian lady or something?
She's American Indian, yep. My kids are members of the Ho-Chunk tribe. But my wife is like most women. They're not really political. Like if you're really political, what should states' rights be with the Second Amendment? What's the capital gains tax? What do you think that should be? The H-1B visas, how many of those should we issue? That's what politics is, really. It's a bunch of numbers and accounting, and that women tend not to be interested in that. Most women's politics is just, don't be mean. Don't be in the Ku Klux Klan. And you're like, yeah, okay, we got that handled. I don't want Trayvon Martin to get killed if he's just going to buy Skittles. That's not what happened, but okay, yeah. We'll try to. I don't even know why they vote. So it doesn't really come up. Plus, when you're married, your political differences are totally irrelevant because you have these kids bonding you. So it's like you're a baseball fan and you own the Mets. Well, now you're focused on the Mets, not who's a vegetarian and who's a meat eater. That's irrelevant. There's much bigger fish to fry.
That's right. What is a man?
A man?
Besides the physical part, we know that. Unless you had them taken off, you became a transgender. But what is a man?
A man stands his ground. A man is a handshake guy. A man, when he gives his word, people go, whoa. And they don't even need a contract after that because he's never gone back in his word. A man gets married, stands by his wife through thick and thin, is a disciplinarian in the home. And if that means the kids don't like him, that's fine. You can either be friends with them when you're young or friends with them when you're old. But the important thing for a man is to convey his legacy, to have kids, and then convey his legacy to his children. And a big part of your legacy is character. You know, money is fleeting, fame is irrelevant, but character is what counts. And I want my sons to go, oh, my God, Dad shook his hand and said, you have my word to that guy. That means it's going down.
That's how
no matter what.
That's how it was.
My dad made a promise.
And
my dad makes a promise that's set in stone.
Yeah, it was like that when I was growing up. What is love?
Love is why we're here. We're here to procreate, and God has imbued us with this strange instinct that gets deeper and deeper. When you're with a woman, like when I'm with my wife, our marriage has evolved, and the love we have now is so much more intense because it's sort of a collage of all the previous versions of our marriage. It's the same with kids. Like you'll have a funny little 2-year-old who says funny things, and that 4-year-old doesn't even look like him when he was 2. And then when he's 10, you know, he likes basketball and stuff, and that's totally different. But you love him because you love all those iterations of your son. And I feel the same way with marriage, and that's the reason that we stick together is because of the kids and everything. But it's also this gift that God gave us, which is love, which is this perpetual motion machine that doesn't require gasoline to run this engine. It just runs. And when you say you hate someone, by the way, that means you think of them as much as you think of your wife. So you probably don't hate them unless you think about them 50 times a day.
Yeah.
But love is the grand force that keeps us all fighting, and keeps us all brave, it keeps us all alive, and it keeps us all reproducing and making families. That's what this is all about.
So are you a Christian?
I am a Catholic,
You're
yep.
Catholic. That's amazing.
Yeah, and that's new too. I grew up atheist. My parents are atheists. But when my daughter was born 14 years ago, I got sort of overwhelmed by this incredible miracle with her little lungs that work and her nose that looks like mine. And my toe is my big toe is kind of separate from my other toes. And that's what her foot looks like. And I was just so overwhelmed. I realized that this miracle is part of a bigger plan.
That's amazing, man. No wonder, no wonder you're so amazing.
I cry in church sometimes. I just get so overwhelmed by all the gifts that God gives us. And the fact that we have so many ingrates that can laugh at the universe and laugh at America and laugh at all the progress we've had and laugh at all the gifts we're given is just shocking. We're a bunch of spoiled brats.
Yeah.